And hello everyone, Carlos here, gute Nacht. Today we continue on my series of What's Up with Archaeology, 21st of March today. This week I've got a few articles that I've gleaned from the internet. First one is a little bit, was from last year, but still relevant. And the second one is tied up with the first one. It'll be linked. And third one, as I always do, I'm describing these as the first one is like this, the second one is like that, and the third one is like that. But first two are slightly linked because they have to do with fire. And the second one is about our facial, what our faces are. Hello, everyone. Hello, Warped and Scotch, I mean, the first two in the chat. So, without further ado, let's get on to our first, first article, which deals with the mutations that made us humans. Now, this article was posted in the Understanding Our Evolution web site, as you can see, in September last year. And the article, I have first article, deals with how one mutation of one gene led us, or didn't lead us, more or less guided us in a direction that we are now. So we will read it, and it starts off with basically describing, can you imagine us being in a cave with a firelight, with a fire lit in a hearth, lots of smoke. We started our in this article, our hominin, us, the hominins, we started using fire at least 175,000 years ago. Well, I will not accept this state. I will, you'll see why in the next article. Anyway, fire produces a hell of a lot of smoke, for example, and the smoke contains chemicals, contains particles, contains organic matter, organic, what's that word? They are organic, and they are they volatiles. I think that's the word. It says here they were toxic chemicals. Yes, they do. Toxic chemicals produce. I mean, fire produces toxic chemicals. Now, fire we breathe in. Anyone who's built a fireplace, we breathe in the smoke. And according to this article, we are sort of immune to it. Now, let's see, where's the evolution? We'll start reading. The introduction is basically just saying that the use of fire 175,000 years ago. I will dispute this date, and you will see why later on, because there is evidence that Homo erectus used fire in Africa more than 1 million years ago. Yes, and not just in Africa, in the Middle East. And that's, I'm leading on to the next article, so pay attention. So it says here, how could we possibly know how our ancestors who roamed the earth hundreds of thousands of years ago handled smoke inhalation in comparison to their Neanderthal cousins? 30 years ago, we didn't know. This is basically talking about how much we have advanced in extracting DNA from fossils. In the 80s, we discovered under certain circumstances that small amounts of DNA could be preserved and scientists have sequenced or have recovered DNA from a 700,000-year-old horse. Now, as we are improving the technology and isolating tiny fragments of DNA, we're figuring out how to assemble them. We are using supercomputers to assemble the genetic makeup of any organism that we really want. That's the sequencing, and we've done that with Neanderthals, us, and Denisovans. That's examples we have, and basically they are the strings of A, T's, G's, and C's. Well, A is adenine, the T is thymine, G is guanine, and C is cytosine. They are the building blocks, they are the bases that make up DNA of every living organism on Earth. Except viruses, they use RNA. DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. RNA is just ribonucleic acid. There's 2 oxygen atoms attached to the ribonucleic acid. That's why it's deoxin. So, yeah. Now, they found out that every organism, most vertebrates have a gene, which it's called the AHR gene, and that basically deals with how we use fire. The gene is short for aryl hydrocarbon receptor. In the cytoplasm, in the cytosine bit of the cytosine base, and that AHR gene receptor it encodes a protein which is present in the cytoplasm of cells. The AHR, the aryl hydrocarbon receptor, binds with naturally occurring substances and with certain chemical substances as well, which may enter the cell, like PCBs, dioxins, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. That's a really big word. Well, no, I'm sorry to be. I apologize. I'm being patronizing here. Aryl hydrocarbon. Polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons is basically the carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide that the fires produce. Basically, yeah, they call it PAHs, but it's technical, which is produced in combustion. I need a drink. Sorry about that. I'm drinking Guinness, guys. Again, Guinness special export. Just so you know, I'm not going to drink much more than this. So, just to keep my tongue from not drying out. Now, what happens with the AHR proteins? The proteins, it binds a toxic substance, carries them into the nucleus of the cell, and activates the other genes. According to them, there are a chain of reactions that can cause toxic effect and even death. Death to the cell, not death to the. You need to basically carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide asphyxiation or carbon dioxide asphyxiation to cause your body to die, but this is in the cellular level. But no, okay. This little here, this thing shows where more or less the split happened between Homo sapiens sapiens. This is a common ancestor. Neanderthals and Denisovans. Homo sapiens sapiens split off 104,000 years. The common ancestor. I dispute this claim again. Articles from September. I have shown in a couple of my other videos which I've produced that they were not as far back. Our common ancestor, the 3 of those, and there's a 4th, which is not mentioned here, found in the DNA material of the Andaman Islands in the South Pacific, near Papua New Guinea and and so on. We haven't named that one yet. It's a fourth, totally mysterious hominin. So yeah, it was Homo heidelbergensis. We haven't settled on if Homo heidelbergensis and Homo erectus were the same with variations, or Homo erectus gave rise to Homo heidelbergensis in certain geographical locations like Europe, Africa, and the Middle East, while Homo erectus continued on in the Far East. Not in Australia. They were Homo sapiens sapiens, and not in the Americas. They were also Homo sapiens sapiens. So that's the position that I take. I will do a video explaining my reasoning in a later date. Maybe next week, maybe not. We'll see. Anyway, this gene, which is found in all invertebrates, is known to evolve quickly. Biologists have discovered that in just 60 years, the AHR, just to know, the aryl hydrocarbon receptor gene in one fish species, the Atlantic tomcod. It's a fish. I don't know what fish it is, but never mind. Has evolved in a way that it allows the fish to resist many of the negative effects of PCB's exposure. We are actually spewing PCBs through plastics and burning and all that shit into the oceans. Of course, it'll get down into the food chain. The fish absorb it, etc. And they have caused problem because of the they developed heart defects and other complications. But a fish from the Hudson River, of the Atlantic, the tomcod, don't have that problem because they have a mutated version of the AHR gene. The gene's version spread through the fish population via natural selection over the last 60 years due to the high exposure in the Hudson River of PCBs, sewage going to the all the rainwater and all that shit going into the river. Now, they found researchers in toxicology laboratory have identified a single amino acid change in the human version of the AHR protein that made it much worse at binding toxic substances than mouse version of the protein. That's because of the exposure to wood smoke, right? The human version has valine in its 381st amino acid. This is in the cytosine base. Like I told you before, DNA has 4 bases: adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. They make up the ATGC combination that all DNA on Earth except RNA. Even RNA has those bases. So basically, yeah, that make up the DNA, basically. The deoxyribonucleic acid, 2-oxygen ribonucleic acid. And they found that in the 331st amino acid, the chain, on modern humans, we have valine, right? While the mouse version has alanine in that position. Now, they have also found by analyzing that of the 6 Neanderthals and the 2 Denisovians that we have sequenced, they have found that alanine, the mouse version, I'm using the mouse version because they are using the mouse version, they are not the same. It's the mice have that gene, that the AHR, whatever it has it now at position 381. The mice have alanine. Neanderthals and Denisovians also have alanine in that position. The actual gene is slightly different, of course, because mice are mice, humans are humans. We are primates, they are rodents, so totally different. Now, non-human primates seem to have the, again, mouse-like version of the gene, which generates alanine in position 381. Now, all modern human examples have valine in that position. Honestly, I don't know what they are really, the nomenclature. I understand basic biology, basic genetics, so I'm honestly not expecting anyone, even me. I don't know what that alanine is and the position where it would exactly be in the position of our DNA. But they have found that modern humans have that slight variation, right? And they asked, why did that happen? I'll try and answer it in my second video, my second article. So keep in mind, we have here the another tree of life type thing, which we have starts about here, goes to the mouse, breaks off to the monkeys, which are, the mouse is a rodent. Now we're going into the primates, the monkeys, which are hominids. No, they're not even hominids. They are just primates. Then we get into the hominids with the chimpanzees and our line, which our line is the hominins. After I do this, just going to show you the difference between a hominin and a hominid. I've linked it into the description. Have a look. Basically, a hominid is primates, not just all primates, but the primates that from bipedal, that are not of the, basically, hominids are all upper, higher level primates which are related to us, including the chimpanzees and the bonobos. Hominins are more what our lineage are: Homo sapiens, Homo australopithecines, and Paranthropus. Maybe Paranthropus. Check out the link; it's there. Talking over my head, I need another drink. And in this little diagram that shows that the mutate from alanine to valine became fixed sometime, and it gave rise to Homo sapiens. Okay, now they conclude it's hard to know for certain why the mutant AHR gene spread throughout the early human populations. Well, they're talking about us. But recent toxicological studies provide a tantalizing clue. In the laboratory, scientists investigated the two different versions of the AHR protein compared to the human version. The Neanderthal version was much more readily bound chemicals found in smoke. So the Neanderthals absorbed the smoke chemicals easier into the cell, and it will more readily turned on the genes that cause the toxic effects. That's their conclusions. The human version of the AHR seemed to resist the binding of the toxic substances produced by fire, while still maintaining the normal function of the cell. This could protect the humans. First points of contention: Neanderthals were humans. Homo erectus was human, and I'll do in the future. I'll do a video on the declassification of Homo habilis from the Homo line. Just read it today or yesterday, so I might do that. Anyway. Basically concludes that with a plausible explanation of how mutant AHR genes spread through early human populations, it does not necessarily mean that the advantage allowed humans to outcompete their Neanderthal or Denisovian cousins. Biologists have explained many different hypotheses of why Denisovians and Neanderthals went extinct, but humans did not. But nevertheless, it's evidence that with this idea that among the relatives, humans were unique in evolving physiological adaptations that helped them better cope with smoky environments while still allowing them to harness the benefits of fire and to keep us warm, to provide protection, to help us cook our foods. I don't know if you guys caught some of the language that was produced here. I might have skipped over it. I'll just try and highlight it back here. Where is it? No, never mind. No, that's it. This article's good. You know why this article's good? Not because of it. It does have a few faults. My opinion, my only opinion, my humble opinion, has a few faults, which I'll discuss in a little while. It provides articles you guys can have a read and click on and describe and do further research. It has good 4 references, but it's not bad. This is how you begin. You begin with small references. You click on the link. I just click on it. I haven't clicked on this actually before, and it opens up to this. See what I mean? Toxic River. It gets you to the what they were talking about. So this is quite an all right sort of site. Now, let's get on to the next article. Stop sharing just for a while, just to get my bearings here. Yep, that's the one. And close those. Now, just prepare it. And like I said, this the first article talked about how fire could have caused a mutation in the gene that possibly led to our lineage and evolution. I'm going to present now another article, which it is more of a, not just an article, it's more of a paper. So it says that it's talking about the earliest examples of hominid fire. Now, they've said this is again April the 4th, 2012. It's a bit old. In my description, I have, I think I have, but I'll put in. I think I have another article from South Africa. This one is from the Middle East, or more specifically Israel. And this research reveals hominins. I have a contention with this D here. Yes, we are technically hominids, but we are more accurately hominins with an N. Discussions of fire and human evolution conjure up images of cavemen sitting around a campfire roasting chunks of meat on sticks. That's a very, very simplistic view of what really happened. But and the earliest bits, yeah, Erectus, Heidelbergensis, maybe even habilis. But instead of having them in a campfire, would have done over a forest fire. But same principle. Who were the first cavemen to do this? We have debated this, and it goes back to quite a while, back and forth through anthropologists who claim hominins. It says they're hominids, but I'm correct. And hominins began controlling fire nearly 2 million years ago, and those who think our ancestors started stoking fires only a few 100,000 years ago. So this beginning, producing and stoking are two different things. You can, and it's been proven with experimental archaeology. You can preserve fire in coals in certain conditions, in extremely carefully laid out conditions, which you can transport humans or hominins from one campsite to the next without actually starting a fire. Like you get the initial fire from a lightning strike, a forest fire, or some other natural occurring method of fire production, and then you conserve that initial flame. Much like the Olympic torch is passing from one torch to another. That's how probably the original I'm saying we, the hominins, how we originally harnessed the fire to all its uses: cooking, defense, warmth, etc. There's a new study about a 1 million year old charred bones plants remains from the earliest secure evidence of hominin fire making, researchers say. The new evidence comes from South African Wonderwerk Cave. Oh shit, got the wrong one. Never mind, this one's fine. Investigations in the 1970s which turned up Acheulean tools. Acheulean tools were associated with Homo erectus. They come from the name comes from Saint Achille in France. I talked about it last week. With stone axes and other implements that were likely produced by Homo erectus. See, in 2004. Francesco Berna of Boston University and his colleagues began new excavations. They found several signs of fire, including tiny charred bone fragments and ash from burned plants. They also found ironstone, which the hominins, God damn it, used to make the tools. Just as really good, possibly it's a fine-grained, as all good stones used to be produced. Blades and cutting edges, fine grained or crystalline rock. Best one is obsidian, natural glass. The second best is flint, which flint is still used today in plastic surgery. Flint scalpel has a cutting edge of 2 microns. The best steel scalpel you can do has it 100 microns. So you can see why. Just a little bit fun fact. Anyway, where was I? To make tools, the telltale fractures indicated by heating, using a technique called Fourier transform infrared microscopy. I don't know what that is. Honestly, I haven't clicked on here. I don't usually click onto the articles. I like the articles. I read them, but I don't usually click on to the links. But you guys can. I don't know what that is, but I know it's an analysis tool. And it even says here which examines how samples absorb different wavelengths of infrared light. See, the team determined that the remains have been heated to more than 900 degrees Fahrenheit. Actually, use Celsius. Not that it's wrong. Come on, guys. I grew up with Celsius, but I'm not saying it's bad. Fahrenheit is also useful. With grass, leaves, and bush used as fuel. Now, the shape of the bone fragments and the exceptional preservation of the plant ash suggests the materials were burned in caves, not outside, and then transformed in by water, as the team report this week, that week. Now, spontaneous combustion of the bat guano in the cave. Bats nest in caves and they drop the shit that's guano. has been ruled out. Apparently, that's something that happens in caves. That left hominins as the most likely source of the fire. The Harvard University's Richard Wrangham and supporters of the cooking hypothesis said that mastering fire was a transformative event in the history of humans. It allowed our ancestors to cook, and because cooked food is easier to digest, the hominin gut shrank, freeing up energy that was used that was devoted to fueling our bigger brains. Yes, cooked once our lineage began eating cooked meat and even cooked vegetables, the energy was released much more, as it says, and our brain started to grow, because our brain use up about 50% of all our energy needs, even more. Look it up. I know it's more than 50. It could be about 60%, 55%, I think. Just our brain, just that organ, it uses up that much energy. So it's very, well, there you go. Energetically speaking, brain tissue needs 22 times as much energy as equivalent amount of muscle. There we go. I love these articles. Anyway, Wrangham summarized the important transition must have occurred with the origins of Homo erectus some 1.9 million, 2 million years ago, where the brain size really began to expand and hominid body became taller and more modern. Homo erectus, I've already told you, was the marathon man. He was an average of 6 foot tall, over 2 meters, and his body was designed for long distance running. I will talk about possibly an ancestor of his, Naledi. God, sometimes I'm shit with names, but I'll get you guys. And he also had a design of the pelvis and femur that was designed for running and long distance running, in fact. So yeah. The fire at Wonderwork is too young to fully support Wrangham's hypothesis, but it's the step in the right direction. Previously, the earliest well-known instances of fire lighting came from Israel's Kesem Cave about 400,000 years ago, from claims that a much older controlled fire that go up to 1.5 million years ago in Kenyan side of Kubi. But wildfires there could not be ruled out. I'm just going to show you the other site, the Israeli site, which I should have done. Where is it? Oh, I better stop here. Where is it? Let's see. That's not Slate. God damn it, not Slate. Please. Oh, damn it, I can't find it. Let's see if I have it. I know what. I know where it is. Just sorry for this delay, people. I'm just trying to find I sometimes don't. I don't mistakes, but and I can't find it. God damn it. Anyway, let's see if the slate one's correct. Yeah, the slate one. I have the links in the description so you guys can see what I was talking about, what I'm talking about. Because I can't, for the life of me, I can't find that other article. Awkward silence while he looks up for the last time. If you can see where the no, never mind. So to summarize, in the other article, which is in the description, it's from Nature, 2004. It basically is I'll summarize it. It's in the link from the Nature magazine. It basically says that that they found in Israel, in a place called Gesher Benot Yaakov in Israel. That's close to the Golan Heights. They found material from a site which was waterlogged, so it was underneath, preserved underwater most of the time, even from back then. And they found that there was a charcoal, but and material. The burnt material was less than 2% of the total of the site, and they pushed that. Basically means that there were hearths, and they were concentrated in certain areas, so they were basically fireplaces. And the dating of that is around. Just have a look. The dating about 700,000 years ago. The team proved that the fire was tamed at least 300,000 years earlier than the between 400 and half a million years. So it was around the 700,000 years mark. That's when fire in that site was quote unquote it was controlled into a hearth. If you guys want to continue reading, it's in the description. Now, let's see the time. It's a bit early. Just having another beer. Well, having the beer that get my mouth. The two articles that I've going to discuss now, that I've talked, basically, apart from the small mistake, well, not mistakes, mischaracterizations, I should call them, because I can say that. What I mean, what a hominin and a hominid is. I also have it in the link, which I can't open in this computer because no, that's not it. Oh, this is being a crap. Let's get on to the next article. It's a bit interesting. It's from the Science magazine, so I'm just going to share it. I'll get this well organized one day, but I'm a lazy cunt, and this is my type of stream, and I don't care. Anyway, sharing here. We've shared. Yep. Get it big full screen. Nope, wrong one. That's the one. This one from Science magazine, from the AAIS. Facial expressions, including fear, may not be as universal as we thought. Sorry about that. modern humans express emotions through our facial expressions. We smile when we are happy. We frown when we are not happy. We scowl when we are angry. We cry when we are sad, etc., etc. Study from again October last year. When you're smiling, it may feel like the whole world is smiling at you, but a new study suggests that some facial expressions may not be as so universal. In fact, several expressions commonly understood in the West, including one for fear, has very different meanings to one indigenous isolated society of Papua New Guinea. The new findings call into question some widely held tenets of emotional theory that may undercut emerging technologies like robots and artificial intelligence tasked with reading people's emotions, and SJWs and Marxist theory of critical theory and all that fucking bullshit that the communist Marxist cunts are trying to. For more than a century, scientists have wondered whether all human experience the same basic range of emotions. They do. Whether they express them the same way. Well, as a European, when I'm angry, like I said, when I'm angry, I scowl. When I'm happy, I smile. When I'm really happy, when I'm hilariously happy, I laugh. When I'm drunk, I smile, cry, barf, scowl, sigh. Time. So yeah, drunkenness is a very expressive. It just your emotions at once. Some do, some don't. Some just get angry. In the 1870s, it was a central question to Charles Darwin when exploring expressions and emotions of man and animals. By the 1960s, emeritus psychologist Paul Ekman from the University of California in San Francisco came up with an accepted method to explore this question. He showed pictures of this is a bit psychological, but let's go. He showed pictures of Westerners with different facial expressions to people living in isolated cultures. He was basically a colonist, and he took cultural appropriating the West's emotions to the isolated people of the Papua New Guinea and other cultures. I'm joking, people. I'm joking. They were then asked what emotions was being conveyed, and according to Wakeman, he found that the anger to happiness and sadness to surprise facial expression seems to be universally understood across the world. Biologically innate response to emotions. Fuck did I just read? Let's go back. He showed the pictures of Westerners with different facial expressions to people living in isolated cultures, including Papua New Guinea, and then asked them what emotion was being conveyed. Ekman's early experiments appeared conclusive. From anger to happiness to sadness to surprise, facial expression seems to be universally understood across the world. A biologically innate response to emotion. I just want to come here. Just want to point out that hominids, primates, chimpanzees, gorillas, bonobos, gibbons, the higher apes, the higher primates, we are apes, but the higher primates. If you show their teeth, if you show your teeth to a chimpanzee, you are expressing fear and anger. So that's what he's trying to show here. Well, anyway, the conclusion went virtually unchallenged for 50 years, and it still features predominantly in many psychological and anthropological textbooks, says this guy, James Russell, psychologist from Boston College. And he made a study. This guy made a study who over this began questioning the methodologies and assumptions of the earlier studies. Fine. I have no qualms about that. Psychologist Carlos Crivelli was one of them. In 2011, he and his colleague Jose Miguel Fernandez Dols from the Autonomous University of Madrid together came up with a plan to investigate Ekman's initial research in Papua New Guinea. So they basically went there. They traveled to the Torrebrand Islands off Papua New Guinea's east coast, where about 60,000 indigenous Trobrianders live. These horticulturalists and fishermen are historically isolated, and he basically tried to reproduce the experiment that Aikman did with these peoples. Now, after spending many months there, he even learned the local Kivilia language, etc. When it came time to begin the study, I already found some contention in this. They were adopted by host families and took clan names. Crivelli became Kelekasi and Chirilo Tonogwa. They learned the language. That is, to me, a bit troubling. That could almost influence the results. If you use the scientific method purely, as I try to always do, keep everything constant. But that's just me anyway. They showed 72 young people between the ages of 9 and 15 of different villages photos of an established set of faces used in psychological research. The researchers asked half the Trobrianders to link each of the faces with an emotion from the list: happiness, sadness, anger, fear, disgust, hunger. And the other half was given a different task. That's probably the control group. Or not. Crivelli found that they matched smiling with happiness almost every time. Unlike the chimpanzees, if you smile, you're scared. Or the chimpanzees, bonobos, the other higher apes. But the results from the other combinations were mixed. For example, the Trobrianders, they couldn't widely agree on the emotion of a scowling face corresponded with. The scowling is anger. You're angry. Some said it was. Some said this, others said that. And the same with a nose crunching, pouting, neutral expression. You know, the one that SJWs show when they don't get their way. That's, yeah, I understand. That's pout. That's what children do. There were the facial expressions that many of them that did agree on. The wide-eyed, lip-parted, gasping face, similar to the above. Western culture universally associated with fear and submissions. The Trobrianders said he looked angry. So the one where you breathe in, your eyes open, your mouth opens, you're saying you're surprised. That's surprise. That's not submission or fear. Fear is a mixture of your wide eyes, your fear. We Westerners know what fear looks like, so I don't think it would fall upon me to express. I'm not a psychologist, so I'm just taking what the article reads and trying to think and imagine or assess how that expression would look like using my own stance as an anecdotal evidence. Anecdotal. Don't take this as complete fact. Now, Crivelli showed a different set of Trobrianders, same faces, He couched his questions in stories. But he coached in questions in stories. Which of these people would like to start a fight? That's not very scientific of him. To draw out more context, no. Totally unacceptable using the scientific method. No wonder the social scientists quote unquote can never replicate experiments. He's coaching. He said he's coaching them. Then, of course, they too associated the grasp face with threatening behavior. Caravelli reports today in the proceedings or whatever. The implications here are really big. No. You coach them. You admit it yourself. You don't coach people. The first part, this part here, is correct. Then he goes on to say that he coached them. What the fuck? You don't ask which of these people would you like to start a fight with if you want to assess someone's expression. You just say, what does he look like? What is he expressing? That's it. You don't put context into here. What else? He said that emotions don't elicit natural psychological reactions. Yeah, we know that. Russell explained that this study suggests that reactions and interpretations may vary from culture to culture. Not if you coach them. If you coach them, they will never, you'll get the results that you want. With the gasp face, for example. The gasp face, for us, it could be surprise, it could be fear. If you say, "What does this guy? Was this guy? Did this guy see a crocodile?" Of course, you're gonna sort of get them to say, "Oh yeah, he's feeling fear or surprise. It came onto him." Did this guy see a big dick just flop cod piece? The expression would be the same. The gasp face. Yeah, and Russell goes on to say they have a minimal universality. We do have the minimal universality. Every human on Earth can express surprise similarly, anger similarly, happiness and utter bawling, laughing, comedy type things. Of course they do. The rest of the article basically reinforces what it just goes on to say we should do more studies, but we have done studies. We can do studies comparing us Homo sapiens with our primate cousins that are living, because we don't have Neanderthals living today, the bonobos and the chimpanzees, and they each express emotions differently to us. But within human societies, Homo sapiens sapiens, even culturally, express the same, not the same, the very, very, very similar emotional expressions of our faces. And closing on to the hour, basically, the articles are these. Just as a small surprise, small continue on here, I have a video. Oh God, I can't play the video. I'll do another time when I figure out how to stream on OPS, OBS, so everyone in the chat and outside can listen to the videos which I play. Let's see if I have something to show you guys. It's a bloody video. Okay, guys. Any questions from the chat? Who's HB, guys? Badger. Yeah, Honey Badger. Never mind. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up. Gonna finish my beer. Some of it's spilt. God damn it. And I'll catch you next week with another week of what's happening in archaeology. I hope you guys get some like to this one. Interesting. I'm planning on a really excellent hangout soon on, of course, on archaeology. So, just a small shout out. Will be with me and another person this time. What real good science is all about. So, everyone, thanks for coming along. Hope I didn't bore you too much. I know the awkward silences, which I was not very. God damn it, I wasn't very, as usual. But that's me. That's my quirk. So thank you guys for coming on, and see you next time. I'll try and do another video, another hangout during the week until before the next one, because I usually do, which basically getting onto politics and all that shit, or being invited, which I'm being ignored, but I don't care, to hangouts where I can express my before I go. Sagan was banned today. He got his on Twitter and he got his back. Kraut made a hangout where he expressed that basically sort of agree with him. We should from now on, I will never care about SJWs getting their videos community striked or whatever. I will not all stop, because they just gloat. While we are supposedly trying to be morally superior to them, say, "Oh, look at us! We are trying to not have free speech stifled, so we are saying defend free X and Y," while they laugh at us and say and make us look like fools. I'm going to stop that personally. I will never again do a campaign for their side or whatever and get their videos back. If they get a community strike, fuck them. I'm going to gloat from now on and say, ha ha ha, you got your video there, your channel banned. Fuck it. And that's my rant. And on this ranting note, goodbye and thank you guys until next week.